Well, good morning, everyone. It is Rebekah from Teshuvah Ministries, and today is Shavuot, and we are preparing to go out to the river to have our celebration. And I just wanted to quickly, just before I wanted to quickly show you something that I do for Shavuot that you could do too. It's just a suggestion as something to make a tradition to make your Shavuot special. So it's a celebration idea. There are so many, I just have to clarify, there are so many things you can do for all of Papa's feast. And I like how Ali said in her last video, or I think it's lockdown video number 4, how she talked about, there's this grace, which is the covenant, which is the instructions that Papa gives us, and it's kind of like a fence, but within that area, within that fenced area, you can be super creative, and I think he really wants us to be creative. So explore the feast and look. What I really do is I look at what the feast is about, what the heart of it is about, and look at what Papa said to do for it. And then I make sure and do those things, look at the heart, and then I start to think, how can I impress this upon my children and upon my family and those that come into contact with me about what this feast is about in the traditions that I choose to develop and, really push into and create. So this is just a quick thing to show you. I've got apron on. I finished up a few things this morning for our celebration. Sometimes part of my celebration is actually participating in the doing of it, which is actually creating the baskets this morning, or creating some of the food we're going to eat this afternoon. So don't feel bad if sometimes on the feast day that you actually have to do some things to prepare for the feast. Food isn't good 3 days old sometimes, so you have to look at what his commands are. And most of the time on the feast days, he says no usual work. So this isn't usual work for me. This is something special for Shavuot, which I was doing this morning. So I just want to show you Shavuot Baskets. It's something that I choose to do to give away to our guests that come. I like this candle. I need to have it there we go. So we hope that people will come join us for Shavuot, and if they do, I want to make sure and have something for them to go home with, something that tells about the feast, something that will encourage them to keep opening and look further and deeper. So these aren't completely done yet. We actually when we go out to the picnic area, we cut some branches, and then we put branches, their stems in here, and then we, like on this one, I will wrap pretty greenery around this, but with water in this, then it will last longer. So this is a rosebud, what's it called? A rosebud, I don't know. You can get it at florist shops for super cheap, 15 cents each or something. And then I normally have 2 of them in here with greenery around it. Baskets without, handles is a little bit more tricky, but you can put it around the edges of it. So that's what I'll do, is I'll wrap it around this wire edge here. So I get linen, cut some linen up, or some gauze. This is actually gauze. Put it in the basket, and then here are the things that I actually put in the basket. Besides the greenery, we have, and every year it kind of changes. Some years I have a full mikveh, talking about the mikveh and stuff. This year I don't have that in here. We're going to do that verbally this year. For anybody who wants to mikveh, make a proclamation today, as in actually do the mikveh. That's a huge proclamation. The mikveh of identity. Make sure I make that clear. This right here is actually a graph that is in Dr. David Perry's book that I actually created for him to help understand the oath and the covenant, the promise and the answer, and how the change took place between the Levitical law and the Melchizedek priesthood, and its covenant and law that ended up coming with the work of Yeshua. So this is a really cool thing to talk about. This, it actually is what Shavuot is all about, is covenant, right? You have Sinai, the first time they make the agreement with Yehovah. So there's a proposal, there's by Yehovah to Israel, then there's an agreement. from the people back to Yehovah that says, yes, we will do everything you say. And then there's a blood ratification with the animal blood sprinkled on the book of the covenant and the people. And then there is a covenant confirming meal on the floor of heaven. It kind of is a whole beautiful package right there. It's Exodus 19 through 24 through the chapters 19 through 24. And then, you know, of course, then they broke it, and then Levitical law came and stuff. But when Yeshua came, he actually brought the new covenant. And so I call it a new contract to the original covenant, because the covenant is actually written on tablets of stone and put inside the Ark of the Covenant, right? That doesn't go away. That's never gone away. It will never go away. In fact, it's his law of love written down that has always been and always will be, because he is love and he has always been and always will be, right? So but there's a new contract now to that covenant, and it's that the new Melchizedek covenant that Yeshua's work brought, which has, you know, it has the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh, which means that we can actually keep it this time from our heart's desire, instead of something that, you know, we had a lack there. You know, in the first contract there was a lack of something, and it says so in the scriptures that it was made with a fault in it, and that fault was it didn't have the Ruach. So now the new contract to the same covenant has this beautiful gift of the Ruach HaKodesh. So, you know, and the fulfillment of Shavuot was when the Ruach was poured out after Yeshua left. So she was poured out on everyone that was there waiting for the gift to come. So super important. That's what this day is all about. If you think it's only about eating cheesecake and, you know, and looking at what happened in Mount Sinai, you're wrong. You need to look forward and look at how it's actually fulfilled. Okay. So anyway, just a couple other things here, and that will, along that line, everything in this basket kind of revolves around the fulfillment of it, and what we do now as believers who want to enter into this priesthood that Yeshua brought with this new contract, right? Okay, I have a Shavuot poem. It's a beautiful poem. It's so like artsy, and it just really like tries to get at the heart of Yehovah towards us. I also have a mezuzah document, which is the document that goes inside your mezuzah. So it's not a mezuzah, but it's a mezuzah document. See right there, it's got all kinds of scriptures talking about, like, it's broken down into sections. Blessings for keeping the contract covenant made with the house, with those not yet born. Keep it close to your heart and teach it to your children. Warning for entering the contract and then breaking it. These are all scriptures in here. Blessings for those who return to Yehovah. A new contract, a mechanism by which we keep the royal law and the blessings. So, and then all humans invited into contract with Yehovah. Yeshua did not do away with the royal law, but taught us how to keep it in the power of the new contract, which is with the Ruach HaKodesh. And then scattered Israel will come back, trembling to be healed and receive his blessings again. And then the new contract is our passport to life, now and later. And then who will you serve? And it's got some great scriptures in here. And basically you just choose, are you going to do it or are you not? And you sign. So that's in here for people to look at, have, and put in their mezuzah if they want to do that. I also have in here a Shavuot handbook. This is a mini handbook of the big one. If you've seen my big handbook here on Shavuot, it's awesome, and you need it for your resources, absolutely, and to complete your library on the Feast of Yehovah, on how to celebrate him as a Melchizedek priest. But I have here that I put in the baskets a little mini book. It's a mini Shavuot book. It's a little tract that it has only, I think, 52 little pages in it, and it tells the story, it tells about Shavuot, and I like to put it in here in my basket for people to go home with, and then they can read it while they're laying in bed, or when they have some downtime or something. And love this idea. I'd like to have a track for all the things that we believe, but you can get this on my store at Rebekah Co. At TeshuvahMinistries.com. And of course, I have some little cookies in the baskets for people. It's kind of like that covenant confirming idea. Again, not that each person that gets this is going to be, confirming the covenant with Papa and saying yes to Yeshua, but I like to add a little treat into my baskets. So I just made a whole bunch of little, they're called like wedding tea cakes, and this is what we have for our Shavuot celebration today, so I thought I always share with the people that I give baskets to. And then finally, the last thing that this year I have in my baskets is, and I like to decorate with flowers because Shavuot's so pretty. It's supposed to be like a wedding, right? So, but I'm going to show you this. This is the Teshuvah. So I have decided that I was going to give away just a black and white Teshuvah kind of printed on cheap paper in their baskets so that they could take it home and read it and decide whether they want to do this or not, because it's a big deal to come into covenant with Papa and sign this contract. But this is just a new Melchizedek contract that I have here. It basically guides them into finding the contract in the Torah, and then it's a very beautiful way of expressing an agreement with Yeshua, and then you have a place at the bottom to sign, and then you have a place for witnesses to sign as well, who witness your mikvah of identification. And then in the end, if they wanted to print it, they can totally go to my store and print it on. It's printed on foam board and have a real nice professional poster for the wall and stuff. But for now, just for the sake of the basket and for them having time to figure out whether they really want to mikvah into covenant, I don't always know who's coming to the feast. So that is my little idea on one thing that you can do to celebrate Shavuot is to give away little feast baskets to your guests as well as your neighbors. I mean, remember back in our pagan days when we were sending Christmas cookies around the neighborhood? Well, why not, send gifts like this over the neighborhood, across the neighborhood, and across through your community and into your family of origin to share Yehovah's ways. I think that it's completely appropriate, and I think Papa is pleased with us trying to reach out in creative ways to see where scattered Israel is, and anybody who will listen and wants to be grafted in so they can get to the happily ever after. So there you go. That's my idea today, and we are going to pack up and make our way down to the park for a beautiful celebration. It's been pouring rain. Like, it had a huge electrical storm last night. It's been so, just wet and cold, but I knew it was going to break, and it's starting to break right now. So we're going to go have a great time at the park by the river. May you have a great Shavuot celebration. Shalom. Bye-bye. And then one other thing that I forgot to mention that we're going to do for our baskets, going to put in our baskets next time is the idea of parallels between the first Shavuot and the Shavuot that was fulfilled. And we're going to make puzzle pieces like Ali did this last year. So it would be, here's your puzzle piece, and it would fit in there and say this is the first Shavuot, this is the second Shavuot, but we kind of did it wrong this year. So we're going to figure it out for next year and do it more like what she did. But I think that's a great idea.